like an Indian bride, as they say. He was always standing behind.
What? Ugh. As you probably recognise from previous episodes of the show, we probably could go into a load of critique of Prince Philip's past actions and what he was involved with and things he said, but I think regardless of what someone's done, I think straight after they die, we'll save it for another day, guys. Like, the wound's still fresh, but there is some news relating to that which we can discuss and critique. This morning, I think it was. Also, shout out to Lucky Roy Singh, who put me onto this. They tagged us in their Instagram story, and that's how I found out about this. I think it was this morning on BBC News. Andrew Marr, who is a renowned journalist, he always does all like the head of election interviews, all of that stuff. So he's like a very respected figure, right? And he was appearing on BBC News and was talking about Prince Philip in light of his death. I think he's done a few series on the Queen before, so I think they're quite like chummy, and he's obviously a big fan. And I think he was saying about how much Prince Philip was like the Queen's right-hand man, literally, in terms of he was always around, he was always by her side, sort of thing. But it was the phrasing of this that has ruffled a few feathers. Now, I'm just going to play it now and see what you think.
He was always 2 steps behind, you know, like an Indian bride, as they say. He was always standing behind.
Now, let's just unpack this, right? So, like an Indian bride, they say, that could possibly mean that he's just saying, oh, Indian brides are always obedient and following behind. That could be what he's saying, but we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and think he's probably referring to a part of the Hindu wedding ceremony known as Saptapadi, also known as Sat Pere, which is basically where the husband and groom go around the fire basically 7 times, and it's at the very end of the wedding ceremony, and at the end of it they're officially husband and wife. Now, obviously, I think this is what Andrew Marr was referring to when he was saying about 2 steps behind, in terms of when you're going around the fire, like, it's always like 2 steps behind sort of thing. But if we look into what actually is part of this ceremony, a lot of the time, the woman will actually be the one to be leading the man. Either that, or they'll like do half and half and switch around halfway through. So it's kind of like you don't really know what you're talking about, and you're just using this stereotypical phrase to kind of, you're talking about it in the wrong way. Like, I'm just like, why was that the first thing that came to your mind? He followed her around like an Indian bride. It's very colonial language, and I think the thing that's worrying as well is, like, he said, as they say. Who's they? Like, I'm very interested, because when I found out about this news, I looked it up and I was seeing like, oh, is this a phrase? I've never heard this before. I couldn't find anything on Google. So either Andrew Marr has made this phrase up on the spot, or he uses this phrase commonly amongst his friends and whatnot, in which case, who are these friends and why are they still using this very backwards colonial language? Like, it's like I'm saying now, like, we're not like going into Prince Philip's like past associations with that. We'll save that for another day. But Andrew Marr is literally bringing this upon himself. Why did you have to say that? Like, obviously people are going to be riled up by that. Like, honestly, like, let's just look on Twitter, like, see what people are actually saying about this. Yeah, who is they in this scenario? The BBC's Andrew Marr reaching over for the Orientalist lexicon of racist stereotypes to praise Prince Philip. Yeah, literally. Like, if you don't know, actually, you're not actually meant to use the word Oriental to describe. It's quite commonly used to describe East Asian people, but the whole reason why you're not meant to use that is because Oriental, as a term, basically means this far off, unknown land and discovering it, and like this. There's a whole lot of colonial mindset behind it. So, but this, in this academic sense, this is what they're saying. It's like this whole idea of like Britain venturing into the unknown and creating civilization that wasn't civilization before, and it's just like, dearie me. as they say. Is it just me that has never heard anyone say like an Indian bride 2 steps behind before? Yeah, like literally, who said this? Like honestly, same people like, or the same institutions that are saying institutional racism doesn't exist last week. Now we have this, and then there'll be a new thing next week, and it's exhausting, man. Like honestly, Andrew Marr trying to break the internet by saying this. Oh yeah, he was speaking to a South Asian woman when he was saying this. Like, what? Ugh. I can't be bothered, man. Honestly, like, if you haven't already seen the clip, go and watch it. But otherwise, I don't really have anything much more to say on the topic, so I'm going to play a bit more music.